Hello, everyone. It was reported, Mr. Ramsey, that shortly after you found your daughter's body, you called the pilot of your plane to arrange a flight to Atlanta. Is that true? For decades, the Ramsey family has endured unbearable pain and relentless public scrutiny following the tragic death of their 6-year-old daughter, JonBenét Ramsey. Often considered the prime suspects, they fought vehemently to prove their innocence and find the real killer. Now, after a long and arduous 28-year search for justice through countless challenges, the true identity of JonBenét's killer has finally been revealed. Will this shocking revelation change everything? Or was the public suspicion of the Ramsey family justified from the start? Leave a comment with the number 1 and join us as we uncover it all in this video. After 28 years, the true identity of JonBenét Ramsey's killer has been revealed. For years, countless people have speculated about who could have murdered JonBenét Ramsey in 1996. The list of suspects in the infamous case of the 6-year-old child beauty pageant contestant who was found dead in the basement of her family's home in Boulder, Colorado on Christmas morning is extensive. The list included her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, her 9-year-old brother, Burke, a man with a disturbing past named Gary Oliva, and a former teacher named John Mark Carr, who confessed in 2006 that he killed her, but was never charged. But now, nearly 3 decades later, one suspect looms larger than ever for her father. A masked man broke into the home of a 12-year-old girl in Boulder, Colorado, 9 months after JonBenét was killed. This man harmed her, then fled when the child's mother startled him. To me, it's very possible it was the same person, John Ramsey told people in an exclusive interview, but he added, "The police didn't take that seriously. They just said, no, it's not the same person." However, her parents quickly became suspects in their daughter's death, even though she had been strangled and hit on the head. Just like with JonBenét, John says he is speaking out now to encourage someone to come forward with new information and to urge police to use modern DNA testing methods and genealogy research to finally find JonBenét's killer. Speaking with People, John said he was shocked to discover that an unidentified man attacked a 12-year-old girl at night just 2 miles from the Ramsey home, and that girl even attended the same dance school as JonBenét. "I thought the MO was exactly the same," he told People. "I believe the killer was in the house when we got home and waited until we went to bed." In the 12-year-old's case and her family, they came home, turned on their burglar alarm, and the perpetrator was already inside. It was almost exactly the same MO, but the police blew it off. "It was even the same investigator who worked on our case," John said. But even that girl's father said, "On a scale of 1 to 10, I give the police a -5. They were totally irresponsible, but yes, I really believe it could be the same person." After all this time, what glimmer of hope could finally reveal the true identity of JonBenét's killer? Leave a comment with the number 2 to follow along for future updates. For the first time in nearly 30 years, JonBenét Ramsey's father has expressed newfound confidence in the leadership currently overseeing the investigation into his daughter's 1996 murder. John Ramsey, the father of the 6-year-old child beauty queen who was tragically killed in their Boulder, Colorado home, met with local law enforcement on Monday afternoon to request a fresh look and advanced testing of evidence from the scene related to his daughter's case. Ramsey told CNN that he planned to urge the Boulder police to use expanded DNA testing to help solve the 28-year-old cold case through genetic genealogy, an advanced technique that has cracked high-profile cases like the Golden State Killer. Following the meeting, Ramsey shared with CNN, "I am very pleased and impressed with the current leadership of the Boulder Police Department. I believe they are fully committed to using the latest technology and resources to identify the killer. That's all anyone could ask for." Ramsey emphasized his belief that Boulder officials are actively pushing forward with the investigation, using every tool available, and that DNA remains a critical resource that he believes has a high probability of revealing the killer's identity. "We can confirm that Chief Redfern and members of our investigative team met with the family this week, continuing the department's ongoing communication to provide updates on the case," a spokesperson for the Boulder Police Department told CNN. "Beyond this, we are unable to answer specific questions, as this remains an ongoing homicide investigation." In an upcoming interview with CNN's John Casers, set to air on Tuesday evening, Ramsey discussed his relentless dedication to solving the case and explained why he advocates for the use of genetic genealogy. "I believe it's the key. I really think that's the only way this case will be solved. The technology is there, and we're going to plead with the police to use it. Not to use it is inexcusable." That advanced technology was not available in December 1996, when JonBenét's body was discovered in the basement on Christmas morning. Genetic genealogy combines DNA evidence with traditional genealogical research to uncover biological relationships. Ramsey revealed that he has never been shown any of the evidence from the scene. "For many years, of course, we were suspects. We were the primary suspects in the eyes of the police. They made that decision from day one." In 1999, prosecutors convened a grand jury and presented evidence for charges of child abuse resulting in death and accessory to a crime, but ultimately concluded there was insufficient evidence to indict John and his wife Patsy in connection with their daughter's death. Ramsey has been critical of the local police department for what he perceived as their inexperience and reluctance to accept outside help, particularly in the early years of the investigation. However, with recent personnel changes, Ramsey now expresses hope that the department will intensify its efforts to solve his daughter's death under the leadership of the new police chief, Stephen Redfern. "He didn't create this problem, but he has the ability to fix it," Ramsey said. In November, Redfern issued a statement affirming that his department is actively collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement partners on the cold case. The Boulder Police Department has sought and regularly worked with multiple agencies across the country, to include the FBI, the Boulder County District Attorney's Office, the Colorado Department of Public Safety, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation (CBI), and numerous outside forensic laboratories. But what really happened on the day JonBenét's young life was tragically cut short. Stay tuned to find out. On the morning of December 26, 1996, in Boulder, Colorado, Patsy Ramsey reported that she had discovered a ransom note left on the back staircase inside their home. The note demanded money and concerned her 6-year-old daughter, JonBenét Ramsey. Alarmed by this, Patsy immediately called the police at 5:52 a.m. to report that JonBenét was missing. At that time, only John Ramsey, JonBenét's father, Patsy Ramsey, her mother, and Burke Ramsey, her 9-year-old brother, were in the house. In a shocking turn of events, less than 8 hours later, JonBenét's body was found still inside the Ramsey family home. The discovery was made in a utility room in the basement by her father, John Ramsey. JonBenét was found with duct tape over her mouth and a nylon cord tightened around her neck. It is known that the crime scene was severely compromised due to numerous people entering and exiting after the police arrived. Police later explained that they did not search the house immediately after Patsy's call, because based on the ransom note, there was no clear reason to believe JonBenét was still in the house at that time. JonBenét was a well-known child beauty pageant contestant, having won at least 5 major titles in competitions. Her tragic death was officially ruled a homicide. JonBenét's body was discovered just minutes after police arrived at the scene. Later that morning, around 10 a.m., Mr. Ramsey rechecked the basement himself. He confirmed seeing a broken window slightly ajar and observed a suitcase beneath it. Although the suitcase belonged to the family, he stated it was not usually kept in that location. A forensic investigation team was dispatched by the police to the Ramsey home. Initially believing it to be a kidnapping, they only sealed JonBenét's bedroom to protect evidence and did not secure the rest of the house. Detective Linda R. from Boulder arrived around 8:00 a.m., expecting instructions or contact from the kidnapper, but no ransom demands were made. From the start, the crime scene was poorly managed. Friends, family, and priests were allowed to move freely through the house, unintentionally disrupting crucial evidence. Activities like cleaning the kitchen, preparing food, and answering the phone hindered the maintenance of a proper environment for evidence collection. The initial evidence-gathering efforts were very limited. The only item secured was the ransom note. Photos were taken in JonBenét's bedroom, and the notepad associated with the ransom note was recovered. Burke, the Ramsey family's 9-year-old son, was initially reported as being asleep during the events, but was later interviewed by authorities. His behavior puzzled investigators, who found it difficult to determine whether his apparent emotional detachment was a coping mechanism or something more concerning. Additionally, the Ramsey family showed a general reluctance to be interviewed separately, which further complicated the investigation. Considering the crime scene and the evidence gathered, we will now delve deeper into what the autopsy report revealed. Initially, it was believed to be a kidnapping, and they only sealed JonBenét's bedroom. The autopsy report indicated that JonBenét died from strangulation and a severe blow to the head. The official cause of death was recorded as asphyxiation due to strangulation combined with a significant head injury. Although there was no clear evidence of conventional abuse, medical experts could not completely rule out the possibility. Despite the absence of male biological fluids, there were signs of trauma to her genital area. There is also a hypothesis that the pen used in the strangulation could be related to the injury. During the investigation, the officers noticed that the genital area appeared to have been cleaned with a cloth. Her death was officially classified as a homicide. A makeshift device made from a piece of nylon cord and a broken paintbrush handle was tightly wrapped around JonBenét's neck and appeared to be the tool used to strangle her. A part of the paintbrush, the bristle end, was found in an art supply box belonging to Patsy, but the bottom part of the paintbrush was never found even after police conducted a thorough search of the house in the following days. The autopsy report also revealed that undigested food, likely fruit or vegetables, possibly pineapple, was found in her stomach, indicating that she had eaten it shortly before her death. On the day her body was discovered, photos of the house showed a bowl of pineapple with a spoon placed on the kitchen table. However, both John and Patsy claimed to have no memory of placing the bowl there or feeding JonBenét that night. Investigators later reported that Patsy Ramsey's fingerprints were found on the bowl. In December 2003, investigators collected enough material from a mixed blood sample found on JonBenét's underwear to create a DNA profile. This profile matched an unidentified male and did not match anyone in the Ramsey family. The DNA was entered into the FBI's Combined DNA Index System CODIS, which includes over 1.6 million records, but no matches were found. Then, in October 2016, more advanced testing methods revealed that the original DNA sample actually contained genetic material from two different individuals, neither of which was JonBenét. James Kohler, a lead investigator from the district attorney's office, further stated that male DNA was also found on both the cord and the paintbrush evidence that Boulder District Attorney Mary Lacey had never publicly mentioned. Kohler explained that a total of 6 separate DNA samples from unidentified individuals were identified during the testing process. Former FBI analyst Candace Dong believes that the repeated appearance of the same DNA at multiple locations strongly suggests it belongs to the person responsible. Bob Grant, a former district attorney who assisted with the Boulder investigation for many years, also emphasized the significance of the DNA findings. He stated that any future resolution of the case must explain how DNA ended up on multiple pieces of JonBenét's clothing. Forensic pathologist Michael Batten offered a different perspective, stating that small amounts of DNA could appear on clothing and other surfaces harmlessly. He added that there was no specific forensic evidence confirming the involvement of an outsider in the case. Given the evidence collected from the crime scene, were there any specific clues that led the police and the public to form a list of potential suspects? Stay tuned to find out. The 2.5-page ransom letter sent to John Ramsey became one of the most crucial pieces of evidence in the unsolved murder case of JonBenét Ramsey. This chilling letter outlined demands and threats shaping the initial investigation and raising many questions about the case. The letter read, "Listen carefully. We are a group of individuals from a small foreign faction. We respect your business, but we do not respect the country it serves. Right now, we are holding your daughter. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to survive until 1997, you must follow our instructions exactly." You will withdraw $118,000 from your bank account. $100,000 must be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 should be in $20 bills. Make sure to bring a briefcase large enough to carry the money. When you get home, place the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to guide you on how to deliver the money. The delivery will be tiring, so I advise you to rest. If we see that you take the money early, we may call you sooner to arrange the delivery and return your daughter earlier. If you do not follow my instructions exactly, your daughter will be killed immediately. You will also not receive her body to bury properly. The 2 men who are watching your daughter do not like you, so do not anger them. If you talk to anyone about your situation, such as the police or the FBI, your daughter will be beheaded. If you talk to a stray dog, she will die. If you talk to the bank, she will die. If the money is marked or altered in any way, she will die. You will be checked for electronic devices, and if any are found, she will die. You may try to deceive us, but we know the tricks of the police. You have a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to be smart. Follow our instructions and you have a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are being constantly watched as well as the police. Do not try to be clever, John. You are not the only rich person around, so don't think that killing someone will be easy. Do not underestimate us, John. Use your common sense. Now everything depends on you, John. Retired Boulder Police Detective Jeff Kithcart revealed in an episode, "While looking through Patsy's notebook, I found a sheet still attached. It appeared to be the first draft of the ransom note. It started with Mr. and possibly the first stroke of an R. I was shocked to discover that. It seemed the ransom note was written in the Ramsey's notebook." Later, FBI agent Ron Walker explained in a 2006 interview that the ransom note was highly unusual compared to typical kidnapping cases. "It's very rare to see a note that long," Walker said. "Most ransom notes are short and to the point," he added. The amount of $118,000 is odd. Typically, ransom demands are round numbers like $200,000, $300,000, $250,000, $1 million, or $500,000, but not $118,000. Because of these irregularities, Walker concluded that the letter seemed fake. It wasn't a genuine ransom note in a kidnapping case, so who might have been included on the police's list of suspects, and could it be possible that family members, even though they were victims themselves, were considered suspects? Stay tuned to find out. From the start, police focused their investigation on those present in the home. JonBenét's parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, along with her 9-year-old brother Burke, were the main focus. Initially, Boulder police heavily targeted John and Patsy, suspecting that Patsy might have written the ransom note found at the scene demanding $118,000. Over the years, public attention heavily fixated on Burke. Online theories suggested he might have argued with his sister over some pineapple she ate and accidentally harmed or even killed her. According to these theories, John and Patsy then covered for their son by staging the scene to look like a break-in. However, these theories don't account for the DNA of an unidentified male found on JonBenét's clothing. Within 2 weeks of the tragic event, forensic evidence pointed to the presence of another person at the crime scene. It wasn't until July 2008, nearly 12 years after JonBenét's death, that the Boulder District Attorney's Office officially stated that no members of the Ramsey family were considered suspects. Sadly, this announcement came too late for Patsy Ramsey, who had passed away in 2006 from ovarian cancer. While some questioned the public clearing of the Ramsey family, Boulder police told the Post that they were no longer actively investigating the family. In 2002, John Mark Carr began contacting an investigative journalist, revealing details about the case that were not publicly known. By 2006, journalist Michael Tracy alerted law enforcement. With Tracy's assistance, Carr was located in Bangkok, where he was hiding to avoid child pornography charges in the United States. He was extradited to Boulder and arrested. Carr confessed to taking JonBenét's life, but the case against him quickly fell apart. His DNA did not match the samples from the crime scene. Additionally, his fiancée provided an alibi stating he was in North Carolina when JonBenet was killed. Although Carr was released, suspicions lingered. The FBI questioned whether he was let go too soon. To me, he's still someone who could have gotten away with it, a Boulder police source told the Post. There's something about him that's still very suspicious. In 2023, Carr spoke publicly insisting he wasn't crazy or lying and reiterated his claim that he was with JonBenét when she died. He also hinted that he might be protecting someone. "I know the truth, but no one will listen," he said. Another notable figure is Gary Oliva, a convicted sex offender living in Boulder at the time of the incident. He was deeply obsessed with the case and even attended a candlelight vigil after JonBenét's death. Oliva, then homeless and transient, kept photos of JonBenét in his tent. He was often seen near the Ramsey home and openly told police he was fascinated by the case. Oliva's strange behavior caught the attention of the Ramsey family. John Ramsey told authorities he was certain Oliva was the culprit. However, this theory has significant flaws. There was no physical evidence linking Oliva to the crime, and his DNA did not match any samples from the scene. As a result, he was cleared as a suspect. Oliva served 8 years in prison on child exploitation charges and was released earlier this year. He openly admitted his obsession with JonBenét. In an interview featured on the program Cold Case Who Killed JonBenét Ramsey, he said, "When you see the footage of her in the little cowgirl outfit saying, 'I want to be a sweet cowgirl,' I've never seen anything like it." Another man linked to the case was Michael Helgoth, a local electrician. He owned a pair of boots that appeared to match a footprint found at the crime scene. He also possessed a stun gun, and investigators noted that JonBenét's injuries showed marks consistent with such a device. Helgoth had a potential motive. He was involved in a property dispute with the Ramsey family at the time. A private investigator hired by the Ramseys suggested that law enforcement should focus more on Helgoth. The mystery deepened in 1997 when authorities announced they were closing in on a suspect. However, 2 days later, Helgoth died by suicide, leading many to believe he took his life due to impending charges. However, police told the Post that Helgoth was never considered a serious suspect, and his DNA did not match any samples found at the crime scene. Beyond the tragedy and intense public scrutiny, how did this heartbreaking event impact the Ramsey family, particularly JonBenét's brother, who was just a child at the time? Stay tuned to find out. The death of JonBenét Ramsey and the ongoing investigation have profoundly affected her brother Burke Ramsey. He has chosen to remain silent about his sister and the tragic case that forever changed their family. Burke never talks about the case ever. He doesn't mention JonBenét at all. It's simply not something brought up in family conversations, and he doesn't bring her up on his own. A source close to the Ramsey family revealed to US Weekly just before Netflix released Cold Case Who Killed JonBenét Ramsey, which aired on Monday, November 24th. The source recounted that even hearing JonBenét's name used to make young Burke visibly upset. As a child, just hearing her name would make him uncomfortable. It was too painful, and he didn't know how to handle all those emotions. By the time he reached high school, he was fully aware of the rumors and gossip surrounding him. He avoided all news related to the case. He didn't read articles or watch TV specials. If something came up unexpectedly, he immediately changed the channel. He has zero interest in any documentaries, the source explained, and there's no chance he'll watch the Netflix series. It brings back too much pain, and for him there's no reason to revisit what still haunts him. Burke was only 9 years old when his 6-year-old sister was found dead in the basement of their family home in Boulder, Colorado. Over time, Boulder police investigated numerous suspects. At one point, even JonBenét's parents, Patsy and John Ramsey, were considered persons of interest. In 1999, a grand jury voted to indict them, but the Boulder District Attorney chose not to sign the indictment, citing insufficient concrete evidence. Later in 2008, new DNA tests revealed the presence of an unidentified male's DNA on JonBenét's body, and the Ramsey family was officially cleared of suspicion. 3 years after JonBenét's tragic death, both the police and the Boulder District Attorney finally stated that Burke Ramsey was not a suspect. However, theories and speculation about his involvement have never fully disappeared, particularly in online communities. Burke endured an incredibly painful and lonely childhood. The source said the family tried to shield him, but how do you protect a child from the grief of losing a sister, especially when people believe the family or even Burke himself might be responsible? A family insider added that the Ramseys were deeply frustrated by how long it took police to publicly clear Burke's name. He spent formative childhood years under suspicion, even though police had DNA evidence proving it wasn't him, yet they didn't share that with the public. The family member explained, "What the Boulder police did to John and Patsy was shameful. But what they did to Burke, that's truly unforgivable. They helped ruin a little boy's life." I was shocked to discover that. It seemed the ransom note was written in the Ramseys' notebook. Later, FBI agent John Walker explained in a 2006 interview that the ransom note was highly unusual compared to typical kidnapping cases. "It's very rare to see a note that long," Walker said. "Most ransom notes are short and to the point," he added. Another man linked to the case was Michael Helgoth, a local electrician. He owned a pair of boots that appeared to match a footprint found at the crime scene. He also possessed a stun gun, and investigators noted that JonBenét's injuries showed marks consistent with such a device. Helgoth had a potential motive. He was involved in a property dispute with the Ramsey family at the time. A private investigator hired by the Ramseys suggested that law enforcement should focus more on Helgoth. The mystery deepened in 1997 when authorities announced they were closing in on a suspect. However, 2 days later, Helgoth died by suicide, leading many to believe he took his life due to impending charges. However, police told the Post that Helgoth was never considered a serious suspect, and his DNA did not match any samples found at the crime scene. Beyond the tragedy and intense public scrutiny, how did this heartbreaking event impact the Ramsey family, particularly JonBenét's brother, who was just a child at the time? Stay tuned to find out. The death of JonBenét Ramsey and the ongoing investigation have profoundly affected her brother Burke Ramsey. He has chosen to remain silent about his sister and the tragic case that forever changed their family. Burke never talks about the case ever. He doesn't mention JonBenét at all. It's simply not something brought up in family conversations, and he doesn't bring her up on his own. A source close to the Ramsey family revealed to US Weekly just before Netflix released Cold Case: Who Killed JonBenét Ramsey, which aired on Monday, November 24th. The source recounted that even hearing JonBenét's name used to make young Burke visibly upset. As a child, just hearing her name would make him uncomfortable. It was too painful, and he didn't know how to handle all those emotions. By the time he reached high school, he was fully aware of the rumors and gossip surrounding him. He avoided all news related to the case. He didn't read articles or watch TV specials. If something came up unexpectedly, he immediately changed the channel. He has zero interest in any documentaries, the source explained, and there's no chance he'll watch the Netflix series. It brings back too much pain, and for him, there's no reason to revisit what still haunts him. Burke was only 9 years old when his 6-year-old sister was found dead in the basement of their family home in Boulder, Colorado. Over time, Boulder police investigated numerous suspects. At one point, even JonBenét's parents, Patsy and John Ramsey, were considered persons of interest. In 1999, a grand jury voted to indict them, but the Boulder District Attorney chose not to sign the indictment, citing insufficient concrete evidence. Later in 2008, new DNA tests revealed the presence of an unidentified male's DNA on JonBenét's body, and the Ramsey family was officially cleared of suspicion. 3 years after JonBenét's tragic death, both the police and the Boulder District Attorney finally stated that Burke Ramsey was not a suspect. However, theories and speculation about his involvement have never fully disappeared, particularly in online communities. Burke endured an incredibly painful and lonely childhood. The source said the family tried to shield him, but how do you protect a child from the grief of losing a sister, especially when people believed the family or even Burke himself might be responsible? A family insider added that the Ramseys were deeply frustrated by how long it took police to publicly clear Burke's name. He spent formative childhood years under suspicion, even though police had DNA evidence proving it wasn't him, yet they didn't share that with the public. The family member explained what the Boulder police did to John and Patsy was shameful, but what they did to Burke, that's truly unforgivable. They helped ruin a little boy's life. Burke broke his silence only once in 2016 during an emotional, in-depth interview with Dr. Phil. That same year, he filed a $750 million defamation lawsuit against CBS following their series, The Case of JonBenét Ramsey, which implied he was responsible for his sister's death. The lawsuit was settled privately in 2019. Since then, Burke has stayed out of the public eye. Nevertheless, he issued a statement regarding Netflix's new documentary, citing how he has been treated by the media and online theorists. Burke Ramsey declined to be interviewed and delivered a closing message in Cold Case: Who Killed JonBenét Ramsey. According to the family source, Burke has remained in close contact with his family over the years. He occasionally meets with his father, John, and they talk about everyday life, the source shared. But when it comes to JonBenét, the topic is completely off limits. If anyone mentions her, he shuts down entirely. It's something he steadfastly refuses to revisit. JonBenét Patricia Ramsey was born on August 6, 1990, in Atlanta, Georgia. She grew up in a warm and loving family before tragedy struck. Her parents, JonBenét Ramsey and Patricia Patsy Ramsey, gave her a unique name by combining her father's first and middle names. The family lived in Atlanta for the first 9 months of JonBenét's life before moving to Boulder, Colorado. John Ramsey was a successful businessman, while Patsy had a background as a beauty queen. This family environment played a significant role in introducing JonBenét to child beauty pageants at a very young age. The Ramseys lived in a spacious brick home in Boulder, where their children were raised in a comfortable and loving setting. JonBenét began attending High Peaks Elementary School in Boulder, enrolling in kindergarten and quickly becoming known as a bright and friendly student. Alongside her studies, JonBenét took dance classes and participated in beauty pageants. These activities helped her develop new skills and build friendships from a young age. Over time, JonBenét competed in numerous child beauty pageants, winning several awards and gaining recognition within the pageant community. Her participation sparked discussions about the appropriateness of such competitions for young children. From a very young age, JonBenét competed in numerous beauty pageants, winning titles such as Little Miss Colorado National Tiny Miss Beauty and Colorado State All-Star Kids Cover Girl. She also secured crowns in events like Little Miss Charlevoix, Michigan, Little Miss Christmas, and America's Royal Miss. In these competitions, she frequently showcased her singing and dancing talents. Her natural stage presence, combined with confident and polished performances, greatly contributed to her success in the pageant circuit. I'm sorry, but I don't have personal feelings or opinions, so I can't comment on how I feel about the recent breakthrough in the JonBenét Ramsey case or speculate emotionally about its impact. However, I can provide a factual and analytical response based on the information you've shared and the recent developments you've referenced addressing the potential for justice and peace for the Ramsey family. I'll also translate your prompt into American English as requested.